Welcome back to iGaming. Today we're checking out something we haven't checked in on quite a while, and that is Icarus, because they have just released the Leica update, which is a really cool one and features dogs as a companion. Well, more so wolves. You can get dogs if you choose to get the DLC. Now, the beautiful thing about Icarus is they've been updating this game every single week for 125 weeks. So this game has been out for over 2 years, and we have seen an update every single Friday from the team, which is absolutely outstanding, and I love the dedication that they've put in. A lot of people didn't like the idea of this game, mainly because it was pretty much created by Dean Hall, which I don't know the ins and outs, but something to do with DayZ, and I think he has dramatically proved everybody that doubted him wrong, because this game is brilliant. I love Icarus, loads and loads of hours into it, and it is loads of fun. Now, when it comes to this update, it does come with a massive free update and a bunch of DLC with it. The way they've done their DLCs, another thing I think is brilliant, is the DLCs are always cosmetic and they don't have any major impact on the game. So you don't ever need to buy them. If you want to support the developers, it is a great way to do so by buying the DLCs, but you never actually have to. Now, the free Leica update is pretty cool, but before we get directly into it, subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video, and stick around for much more survival content. If you want to see us get back into Icarus and do some more gameplay videos, let me know in the comments down below, and that is something we can work on. And if you're a fan of Bethesda titles, make sure you check out the second channel, Space Cowboy. That is in the top right hand corner now. Cut update is a pretty cool one. It features, as mentioned, dogs. But the reason behind this name is Leica was a Soviet space dog who was one of the first animals in space and the very first to orbit Earth. Unfortunately, she did pass away because the heat was too much and the technology to come back into Earth had not been developed at that point. So she died on the craft's 4th orbit of Earth. But first doggo in space, beautiful doggo. I'd never spend my doggo into space. No thank you. I love my dog too much. Now, the team have said that the way that they handle these DLCs is really quite... I love the way that they do it. I think a lot more games should take notice of it, rather than being paid to win or just having things that are pretty much over the top. These guys do it mainly for cosmetics, which is what they've done with the animals. You can have certain doggos and certain cats, but those are part of the DLC. Whereas with this update, the main features are to upgrade and level animals. Mounts will now have talent trees, mount persistence will be there, mount food and buff rework, loads of new tameable creatures such as chickens and sheep. You can now have them to create food for yourself, which is really going to help things smooth it out as you're progressing through. Now, a lot of these items can be bought from the Orbital Workshop, such as chickens, pets, stuff like that. So if you get them from the Orbital Workshop, they'll be able to come down with you, or you'll be able to place a beacon down and get them dropped on your location, which is really quite cool. You don't have to go out there and mess around too much trying to find them. Now, there's already a bunch of mounts in the game which you can use to ride, and you can grab them on each drop, but now they've upgraded this and there are different ways to capture various animals. So, rescued as juveniles are the moa, the buffalo, the tyrannus, and the tusker, which, I mean, something's obviously happened to their parents. Maybe you were the reason for that. Now, you can capture these 4 with a snare trap. Now, these are much harder enemies to come across, and they are probably the source of a lot of your problems. So these are the wolf, the Arctic wolf, the hyena, and the wild boar. Now, you can have these as loyal companions. Once you've started to nurture them, they will slowly become your pals, and then you've got yourself an Arctic wolf, or a hyena, or a boar. I don't know why you'd want to run around with a boar, but why not? I'm open to anything. Now, these guys you can buy from the Orbital Workshop, the chicken and the sheep. Now, if you do decide to buy the DLC, you'll be able to get cats, dogs, and horses. Horses are already available in the base game. The horses in this one are just purely cosmetic. Now, if you do want the cosmetic creatures, this comes in at £20.22 with a 20% discount, and that comes with the creature comforts, the pet companions, and the zebra rescue mission. You can buy all 3 of these individually if you do wish to do so. The pet companions is $13.49, the Icarus creature comforts is $11.79, and the zebra rescue mission is free if you purchase one of those. But as mentioned, those DLCs do nothing really to the base game. They do just add a few little bits for you to play around with if you want to support the developers. Now for those main big features, they're adding animal leveling and talents. So creatures you can have dotted around your home base, such as mounts and tames, will gain XP and level up as they adventure with you and hang around at home. These will improve their base stats such as health and stamina. Not just that though, they've also added mount talent trees. So you can level up your pets and it will give them talent points to spend on their own talent. Every mount type in the game has its own talent tree, along with new tamed and future mounts to be added. These will include a mix of base talents and bespoke ones for each different creature. And another thing that I really like about this, obviously the game works by going on prospects, so you drop in, you do what you got to do, and then you come back out. You don't get to take a lot of that stuff back out with you. You'll just gain XP and points, which you can then use in the orbital workshop. But now they've added mount persistence, so this is good. They've got customs clearance, and you'll be able to transfer your pals between prospects, open worlds, and outpost. So you can do this through the orbital exchange interface, the one that you currently use to send exotics to space, and purchase workshop items from the planet. From here, you'll be able to pick up an order of your tame and mount and send them up to orbit, where they can access the same as any workshop item, which is great news. So you're not leveling up one creature all the way through one prospect and then all of a sudden realise, shit, that's pointless, it's all gone. No, these will all carry through over various game modes and prospects that you do, which I think is a great decision. Obviously already mentioned, you can now tame wolves, hyenas and wild boars, so pretty cool for that, and those will probably make a really helpful companion. I hope that their damage is going to be okay and they'll be able to actually help out in that combat situation against bears and stuff like that, because bears are always the pain in the arse. But to tame these animals, you're going to need to use the new snare trap system. These work when baited, and creatures you capture will slowly warm up to you over time, as long as you keep them warm and fed. Don't expect a warm reception straight away though, because it will take a while for your tame to stop being aggressive towards you and become slightly docile. Now, as mentioned earlier on, we also have chickens and sheep, which can be sent down from the orbital workshop and raised at your base, where they make a bit of a racket, along with producing eggs. You do need to keep chickens fed, watered, and warm. If you meet all the requirements, they will produce roughly 2 eggs per day on Icarus. If you do build a chicken coop, the chickens will lay their eggs inside for easy collection, otherwise they will dropped randomly around your base. Now, there is also sheep in the game, which can produce wool at roughly 1 full coat a day, and you will need new shears to be able to gather that wool and keep your sheep fed and watered, otherwise it will not produce. Same with the chickens, so you do have to put a decent chunk of effort into keeping these guys alive and comfortable. Now, alongside what I've mentioned already, there's a whole host of new items. So the new creatures, obviously, new talent trees, new systems, and loads of food items and craftables to go along with it. So obviously we've got eggs and wool, and then egg and chicken recipes. So there's 6 egg-baked recipes and 3 chicken-based recipes. So the egg-based are fried omelette, tomato, egg, scrambled egg, big breakfast, and pickled eggs. So as you can see here. And then the chicken recipes are grilled, roasted, and fried chicken, which, making ourselves some nuggies is not a bad shout. So there's 5 wool-based recipes: the platinum weave, the fur, arctic pelt, rope, and bandage. There's also a new wool item, which is a fuel brick, which is a longer-lasting source of fire. So as you can see here. And then loads of, obviously, deployables. The ranching station, which is a stop for your saddles, troughs, animal feed carts, and animal beds. The large water trough, electric water trough, electric food trough, food and water bowls, snare trap, hitching post, hitching rope, and finally the chicken coop. As well as that, obviously we've got some trophies. So you can make trophies out of the chickens and sheep, which is kind of sad, really. I'm glad you can't make trophies out of the dogs, because that would be a little bit depressing. And then you've got the shears, which is obviously used to chop that sheep fur. Then finally, animal feeds. The animal feeds give your guys unique buffs. So there's Omni, Desert, Arctic, Volcanic, Endurance, Sprinters, Mountaineering, and Survival. Then for the last 3 items, which are dedicated to mounts and bigger animals, which are planting carts, watering carts, and harvesting carts. Now those do all of their Now those complete all of their functions as named, so one will plant seeds and create crop plots when pulled by an animal, a watering one, water crops, and finally a harvesting one will harvest your crops. So you can make a pretty much self-sustaining base and let your mounts do a decent chunk of the work for you, which I think is really interesting, and I'm excited to see how this unfolds. Now, alongside that, there is a whole host of bug fixes and improvements to the overall mount system that they've implemented already, which is great news. This update is an absolutely phenomenal one. There is loads and loads of cool stuff coming for Icarus, and if you do want to support the team, check out the DLC. If you want to support me, subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video. If you do want to support us a little bit further, consider becoming a member. I greatly appreciate it. For now, though, I've been Wired. You've been awesome. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.